Aren't you interested in learning breakthrough wealth building strategies, such as how to flip a home in less than 2 weeks using other people's money with no real estate license, or how to build a low-cost home-based business? You can discover how to take passive income from any source and invest it into real estate, stocks, or business to become financially independent investing in any market with Residual Roads Business Institute. Collaborate with Andre and other Residual Roads advisors to create a free action plan and start implementing strategies today. Go to www.residualroads.com or email info@residualroads.com. Welcome to the Investing Uncensored podcast. You've been searching for different ways to become financially independent or generate passive income to live out your life's purpose as you've seen others do it, but need insight on how. Well, get excited because here you'll discover the tips and resources to fulfill that need. Andre Stewart has spent more than a decade successfully making it happen for himself and others. This is the Investing Uncensored podcast. And now here's your host, Andre Stewart.
Hola, ¿cómo están mis oyentes? Estoy en Colombia, Medellin. You guys know I love Colombia, especially Medellin. So you might have heard me in my last podcast talking about coming out of here to look at properties to buy, and I am here. If you hear some noise in the background, it is because we're having a party downstairs, man. I'm tempted to go knock and see if I can get inside. Colombians are so nice. They're probably going to let me in and hand me some vino or a tequila shot or something, maybe a cerveza. But I'm loving it, man. I've been here, and it's completely different than America, man. They're taking it serious out here as far as the virus goes. I mean, when you go in a restaurant, they have a sink right when you walk in. Not all of them, but a lot of them have either a sink in front of the restaurant where you got to wash your hands before you go into the restaurant, or they have a place where you use hand sanitizer before you walk in. And then they give you like a little bag to put your mask in so you don't sit on the table. And then they check your temperature as well. So it don't matter if you go into the grocery store, getting gas, it does not matter. They're checking your temperature, and they are going to, hand you a bag to put your mask in while you're out and about if you go into a restaurant. So I love it, man. It's definitely completely different than the States, man. You can go anywhere, and they're not checking temperature, not doing anything. Matter of fact, when I flew in, when I got off the plane, they checked my temperature as soon as I got off the plane, and then they handed me some hand sanitizer. When I got on the plane leaving Miami to come here, same thing. They handed you a bag as soon as you got on the plane with, water, hand sanitizer, and you had to keep your mask on. And everybody on the plane had to have COVID tests within 72 hours. So, man, it is something serious out here. But at the same time, everything is open. So I love that. If you want to get back to normal, I think, being in the U.S., they should follow something like this. But I was in Florida for a while before I got here too, and they took it. It was kind of similar to this. They weren't checking your temperature, but everyone had masks on. Everything was open. People were, following the rules. And being that I'm in LA, at the epicenter of the virus, this is not happening at all whatsoever at any place that you go to in LA, which is so interesting. You would think that the city would take it more serious, like other places are doing, and they're not. And, our city's feeling it, man. LA is taking a big hit. I think it's going to be about 10 years or more before it recovers to what it was before the pandemic. But I'm spoiled, man. I'm so spoiled out here right now in Medellin, man. I love it. I got a couple friends out here, so, been hanging out. But mainly been looking at properties, man. There's so many properties out here available that are off market that I was able to find by just taking a jog through my neighborhood. I've been out here running, and Medellin is very hilly. So my particular Airbnb, the view is amazing. I can overlook the entire city, but it's at the top of a hill on another hill. So I have to go down this hill, go to the main street, main calle, and then I go down that to another large hill. And then from there, you'll see a ton of properties that are just for sale. Not a lot of them, but in each building, there's at least one or two listings of, homeowners that are selling and not using an agent. So, man, every day I've been out running and jogging and taking this hill, and I've been taking pictures. And so today I called a bunch of them. And I ran across one person, and they were like, a godsend. When I tell you they sent me like 10 off-market properties with photos, with amounts and everything, I was like, oh my God. So I got a real good friend in Miami who's an agent, and he has a huge, buyers list of people that want to buy internationally. And so that's one of the main reasons I came out here, obviously to find my own place, but to also, I'm expanding my company. I'm expanding in InvestFar. Cost of labor is a lot cheaper out here. I mean, you can get full-time staff for about minimum wage out here is about $450. Actually, I think it's $250. $450 is like you're doing all right, but $253 or $260 is like the minimum wage for full-time. And like I told you guys in the last podcast about inequality is real. And I mean, the minimum wage out here is $250. So imagine trying to live off that. It's tough. So, I mean, we don't really have it as bad as people think we got it in America. So, but anyway, about, like I said, $450 will give me a good employee, and that's full-time. And from what I'm told, it's not even 40 hours. It's more like 45 or 50 just for that $400. So I'm thinking about hiring a couple people. I'm hiring one person. I'm meeting them tomorrow with her, and I'm going to have her run the entire operation. She's good with startups. So I'll probably pay her, maybe like $900 or $1,000 and then staff up with another 2 or 3 people. So, I mean, I'm out here taking care of business, man. I'm going to have these people facilitating the transactions between the buyers and the states. There's a lot of good opportunities out here. I'm looking at a 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom apartment. It's like $90,000 remodeled, overlooking the city. So there's a lot of opportunity out here. So for those of you that are interested, you know where to find me. If you guys hear some noise in the background, like I said, I'm in Medellin, and like it's very loud here. If you've never been here, then you'll know how the city is like I don't want to say a vortex, but like the sound echoes because you're so high up, and it's like it's hard for me to explain how Medellin is set up. So the noise just echoes. You hear the cars riding by, the buildings, I would say the walls aren't built like you would in the U.S. So you hear a little bit of sound. But nonetheless, I love Medellin. Anybody that comes here, they all say the same thing. It's hard to leave. I just extended my stay. Literally, right now, I just clicked the button on the Airbnb to reach out to my guy and tell him I need another 3 or 4 days. So I'm going to be out here a little bit longer. Got to take care of some business. But anyway, what I wanted to talk to you guys about today is this GameStop situation, just stocks in general. And I still think there's going to be a lot of good investment opportunities. This GameStop thing, I hope it doesn't turn into the norm, because that's not investing. That's some speculative investing at best, but it seems like there's these wolf packs that are ganging up to drive prices of companies up. And I mean, that can work, but for how long? In the GameStop situation, everybody in the world obviously knows about GameStop, and it just made us look bad again. You know what I mean? With everyone like, look at these fools, these hedge funds going at these mom and pop investors off of Robinhood. You know what I mean? So the GameStop thing, interesting. People shorting stocks have been around forever and a day. That's what people do. I mean, that's the whole purpose of having option contracts and things like that. So it's nothing new, but I guess the hedge funds and like the little guys digging into their pockets. So, people, one company, this guy, I forgot his name, but he lost $2 billion on that GameStop short. And so, you know what I mean? It wasn't just, it's big bank take little bank. There's no way in the world that retail investors can compete with hedge funds. That's not even possible. I mean, BlackRock alone controls $7 trillion in the exchanges. So if they make a move, it's going to easily move the stock price. So I just want people to understand like what retail traders did. It wasn't just them. Hedge funds, quite a few hedge funds got behind them and pushed the stock higher and drove it up and hopped out. You know what I mean? I think Chamath hopped in on the 26th and he made $500,000 and just gave it all to charity. So, I mean, people just hopped in and pushed the stock higher, just, hopping behind the retail investors. I mean, why not, right? It's the quickest way to make a quick buck. And people that did make that speculative play and hopped in, they made a killing. You know what I mean? I got burned on it. I hopped into it late. Just, you can allocate, I think, 5 to 10% of your portfolio to speculative investing. This is probably the only time that I've ever done anything that was speculative, maybe outside of Apple a couple of years ago when the Apple Watch came out. That's one time that I did do some speculative and I got burned on that. And then I got burned on AMC. You know what I mean? I'm still in AMC until February 21st. I did an option contract. So I'm still in there until the 21st. So, you don't lose money until you sell. So I'm going to leave it in there. I knew when I put the money up, that was a huge possibility that I could lose it. But if I won, I was going to win big. So I didn't put up any money that I didn't, feel comfortable with losing. So it is what it is. I still got 3 weeks to see if it bounced back. But I did get screwed, with the platforms not being able to fulfill orders, which is interesting. So I didn't get my order fulfilled. And had I got my order fulfilled in time, I wouldn't be in the situation that I'm in. You know what I mean? I did a strike price of $16 and I jumped in, or I put my order in at $13 and it didn't get filled until $16. So it kind of ruined my entire position. So, you know what I mean? That's what you get for speculating. And I was obviously super late to the game, but why not? So I think one thing that's interesting, what you guys could do if you are trying to, because what it seems like now, I got a group text and everyone's like, well, what's the next stock that we're gonna boom? Because I joined the forum that they're on. Why not? I think that's what anybody intelligent would do. Like, you see this group of investors are teaming up and they're boosting certain stocks up. You should want to be in the know, and the easiest way to do that would be to join a free chat forum and figure out what their next move is. So I did that just because I'm an educator, so I like to obviously stay educated on certain things so I can tell other people. But I think people should do their own research. So in my group text, they're just like, oh man, I'm giving them stocks, like profitable companies that they should invest in, not the speculative stuff. So I gave my brother a stock. It was like, the stock was at 100. And I said, this is probably going to go to 130 looking at fundamentals. So he looked at the stock and he's like, well, why would I invest in this? The company's pretty stable. The stock's been going up, steadily for the past couple months. Why would I hop in this? I was like, did you just say that? Did you really just say, why should you hop in a stock that's been increasing steadily over the past couple months and had a spike in December and January? Did you just really say that? So I think people are out here chasing the wrong things because of this GameStop situation. And a lot of people are going to get burned. You can't do big bank, take little bank with hedge funds. You're going to lose that game. And if retail traders try to go up against hedge funds, I think that could potentially crash the market, because what could happen is these hedge funds might decide to pull all their money out. And if they do that, what's going to happen? Just like GameStop was at $375 when this huge dip just started happening, and that's because the hedge funds pulled out. So there's no way that a retail trader can hold the market up. We just don't have that much capital. No one does. I've seen this guy on the Wall Street Bets forum saying that I think he had went up $30 million on his GameStop trade. He posted it. He showed his financials, and he took a $5 million hit. And he's like, I'm staying in, which is the dumbest thing ever. So if he didn't sell, he lost all of that money. But he was at a $5 million loss when it was about $260, and he was still in. He still had about $10 million in. And he said, man, you know what? I'm gonna take another $10 million and throw it at GameStop. And that $10 million wasn't even enough to move the stock even higher. So that just lets you guys know how powerful hedge funds are. So I don't want retail traders to get into this fight or this war with hedge funds, because that's going to collapse the market, because they can teach us a lesson real fast, right? The hedge funds helped drive that price up to about $450 on GameStop, and they made a lot of money. I can imagine if they got in, like Chamath got in and it was $76, and I think he rolled it to $400. He killed it. So I'm pretty sure other hedge funds did the same thing. And it's funny because 2.5 weeks ago, or January 26th, I saw the stock shoot up. It was parabolic. And I said, there's no way that this thing is going to keep going. And it went from, I think, 9 to 76 when I looked at it. And I was like, okay, it was $80, I remember. I was like, this thing is going to fall. I was thinking myself about shorting the stock. But I didn't do it because I don't play the short game. But in my mind, I was like, you know what? I should do the last couple times that I did put options or shorts, I got burned. So I was like, you know what? That's not even my strategy. I'm not even going to do this. So I didn't do it. And happy I did because it went up to $400 and like I said, $455. So I would have got killed. But that's why I do option contracts, because even if I would have got killed, I'm only responsible for the amount of money that I put up. And what people are getting destroyed on, they're getting destroyed on these margin calls. So that's what happened with that hedge fund where the guy put up, we lost $2.8 billion because he was on margin. So my brother, he did margin on AMC, and it was only like $1,600. And he was like, oh man, I bought mine on margin. And he only got 100 shares for $1,600 on margin. I got 400 shares, and I did option contracts, and I paid way less than he did. And my hit was only the amount that I put up. He took way more of a hit than I did, and he was on margin, so he can't leave the stock because once he sells, they're gonna, call that margin due. And he's gonna have to sell some other stocks to take care of that particular margin call. And that's what I mean. So that's what happened in the market. That's what people do in these hedge funds. They do shorts and they do it on margin. And so the guy that had the $2.8 billion, he had to borrow that money from someone else to take care of his margin. So his portfolio dropped about 12%. I told my brother the same thing. I don't think people should start doing margin until they're about 25,000 plus, because then you really won't feel the hit on a margin call of about $1,600 to $2,000. Your portfolio should fluctuate anywhere between $1,500 to $2,000 in a day easily. I mean, I looked at mine yesterday and I was down $2,000 in the morning when I woke up. And by the end of the day, I was up $900. So, I mean, it's going to swing like that. And my portfolio has swung, from, I remember at one point it was at like, I don't know, this is a long time ago, it was at 15 grand. And then it swung down to like 3. And I was like, what the? And then it came back, it swung back up way beyond that. You know what I mean? So I think you should do margin until you get to the place where you're comfortable enough taking a loss of $2,000 and you don't really feel it. I mean, if anytime I take profit, I'm so strategic with my investing. Anytime I take profit, by the time I look up a week later, the amount of profit that I took out has already been, been reversed. You know what I mean? Because my stocks have gone up. So, I mean, that's how you should look at your portfolio. That's how you should set it up to where even when you do take profits, you pick stocks that are so good that it's just going to erase that loss that you took when you took profit. So, I mean, but anyway, I think the market is going to be a little shaky because historically, the month of February, the markets are always volatile post a new president. And so the market's probably going to have a down month in February. So I would advise people to get some cash available, sit it to the side so that you can invest the money when the market is in a dip. So I was telling my group text the same thing. My brother was like, well, what do I do now that AMC I took this hit on AMC? I'm like, well, man, you need to stay in the stock. You're in it now. So if this was a profitable company, right now would be the time to buy. But since you definitely looking at a speculative asset, I wouldn't put any more money into it, but I also wouldn't sell it because he bought the stock. I'm different because I bought options. So I only got a certain window of time for my stuff to rebound. And if it doesn't, then I'll just take a hit. He, fortunately, because he did buy stocks, that's not his situation. But nonetheless, I don't think people should get into this whole speculative thing and try to follow what Wall Street Bets does because they don't have enough money to move the market. They're banking on companies that aren't even profitable. It's like, what are you doing? You put money into a company that's, on its last leg, and I get it. It's more like they're trying to save their favorites. It's like you're trying to save AMC. Everyone loves AMC. You're trying to save GameStop. If you're a guy or you got kids, you know that you spend a lot of time in GameStop, especially back in the day. Obviously, GameStop's business model needs to change, which that's why he needed the funds, which he was able to get that through what they did with the, price boosting. So good for him. So now he needs to use the money take GameStop online. I don't even know if that's going to do GameStop any good, because if you have an Xbox or a PlayStation, you can just download the games right to the system. So I don't even know if that's going to do him any justice, but I mean, it's worth a shot. He got the money now to do it. But anyway, I don't think you guys should get into this nonsense. I think you need to invest strategically with the companies that you're going to choose. And when you have down days like we have and like we're going to have in the next month or so, you just pile in. I would say wait until like the second week of February to really see how far it's taking a dip, and then you just buy it like that. So don't play the speculative game, man. And if you do only allocate 5% or 10% of your portfolio, and I mean, I've won on speculation. I mean, I speculated on a marijuana stock. I got in at 30 cents and shot up to $2. So, I mean, it all depends on knowing economics and knowing what the legislation is trying to do. We all know Biden and Harris, they love weed. You know what I mean? So since I know they love marijuana, I'm hopping in that, because once they regulate weed, the stock is going to blow. You know what I mean? So I think you guys just be strategic. With the economy the way it is and the way we keep printing money, hop into commodities, because the cost of goods is going to go up because the basing of currency. So our money is going to be worth less. So the cost of things we buy is going to be more. So get into buying commodities, get into buying hard assets, because they're going to be more expensive. And right now, that's not happening, but they're going to keep printing more and more money. As you can see, they're talking about doing debt forgiveness of student loans. Obviously, taxes are going to go up. So obviously, inflation is going to happen. So these are all the things that you got to pay attention to, because we got to pay for this debt forgiveness for these student loans. It's not like they're going to be like, okay, you got $100,000 in student loans, we're going to take it and it's gone. It's disappeared. No, it didn't disappear. It's going to go to somebody's got to pay for it, whether it be Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk or anybody who does real estate and has capital gains tax. Somebody's paying for this. So, and even the people that aren't doing this kind of stuff, you're going to pay for it through going to the store and buying food, and your local economy taxes going up. So it's going to be paid for. So I don't think by far that they're doing us a favor. I mean, they're wiping away the debt for people that have it, so they obviously can help people out with their monthly income because their expenses are going to be cut, but they'll get on the back end when they file their taxes. So, I mean, what's so crazy is that the whole agenda that the Democrats have with decreasing inequality, I mean, I don't even know how they're going to do that, but right, like the people trying to take advantage of the situation with GameStop. So before, you would only get taxed when you took your money out. After you made gains, you've got to pay the capital gains tax. Now, the Democrats, and I'm not Democrat or Republican, I'm just talking from like, this doesn't even make any sense point of view. So now the Democrats want to tax the transactions. They want to tax your trade transactions. Come on, man. This is ridiculous. So all this money being printed, people thinking it's cool and it's great, but they're finding different ways to take the money back. So it's like, how do you get ahead? You get ahead by the government giving, I guess, you get stimulus from the government. If you use it the right way, they go out here and buy stocks. You can get ahead. But like, if they're raising corporate taxes, if they're taxing trade transactions on stocks, and they're taxing you for capital gains after you get the gains from the stocks you've traded, and then they're taxing you on ordinary income, and then they're doing inflation. How in the world are you going to be able to bridge the gap of inequality? Because at the same time you're giving us the money to make more money, you taxing that same thing to get the money back. So you really not. It's like a false sense of security, because they're like, oh yeah, we gonna give you all this money, but then they turn around and they take it back from you in different ways. You know what I mean? It's like, if you don't think that inflation's here, I mean, you're tripping. Go to the grocery store. I know everybody listening to this podcast is going to the grocery store and be like, God dang, what is happening? I went to the store the other day. I bought 3 bottles of water, some pistachios, and a bag of salad. It was $35. It was like 35 and some check, maybe 37. I'm like, come on, man. This is ridiculous. A week later, I was in Colombia. It's ridiculous, man. I see what's happening. I hope everyone else does. I was looking at a chart that someone did. I think it was Ray Dalio. Ray Dalio did a chart showing the last civil war that we had, and he showed a chart in comparison to what's going on with our society right now, and it's at the same level of the last civil war. It looks, they mirror each other. So I think the United States is in for some stuff, in the next couple of months. Who knows what it is? I also see the market more than likely possibly collapsing if we still have what's going on with GameStop and these retail traders. There's just a lot of stuff going on. I see more unrest. There's more jobs. So I don't know, man. It's getting pretty tricky out here. I think you guys need to pay attention to the signs, man. Turn off Instagram, turn off the distractions for like a week, and then just pay attention to what's going on. I mean, if you want to look at something, look at some channels on YouTube about economics, look at stuff about commodities, super cycles. Take about a week. If you're listening to this podcast, take about a week, turn off the noise, the social media, the news, and hop on YouTube and look up people who kind of know what they're talking about. Look at some Ray Dalio videos. Look at George Garmon. He's a real good macroeconomist. Look up people like that, and they can fill you in. And then you just do your own deductions with what's going on in your neighborhood and your own personal economy. And you need to see what you got to do to make changes to make your situation better, because I don't see it. I think 2021 is going to be worse than 2020 economically. I mean, it may not be because they're just giving away money, but at some point that's going to backfire. And they can only do that for so long. So there's two things you can do. I mean, you can take advantage of them giving money and fix your situation. So if they have these debt forgiveness programs, try to get in there. They have for your rent and things like that, try to get that money. And if you had money in this time frame and you just weren't paying your rent because you had the ability to not pay and do forbearances, apply for these programs, get the money and pay off your mortgage or pay off your rent, and then use the money that you didn't spend on it and try to buy real estate, try to buy stocks before they do decide to do this whole tax on the transactions on trading before this verbal burst in real estate. As long as the government keeps printing money, the bubble is going to keep going. What people don't know is in recessions, renters go up. You know what I mean? So you have more renters in recession. So ideally, you hop on rental properties. You know what I mean? You get those or get houses. And right now, fixing and flipping is booming. That's doing better than new construction, even though there's a housing shortage. I would take all the money you can. I'm a lender. Reach out to me if you guys need money. I provide funding. We do 85% loan to value, depending on what your credit score is. We do 80% on rental loans. If you want to do a refinance, we do 75% LTV on refinances. So you only got to come to the table with either 15% or 20% or whatever the purchase amount is. So if you're trying to get something for $100,000, you only got to bring $20,000 to the table and you'll be able to get into a property. So I think these are the things you guys need to be doing. And I'm doing a lot of deals for a lot of people as far as funding goes. Another reason why I came to Colombia is because the market in Colombia, as far as properties go, is getting hit too. So, I mean, the same thing that's going on in America is obviously going on in Colombia, and it's a third world country, so it's getting hit super hard. So people are willing to, do owner financing and carry mortgages out here as well because they need money. And so the opportunities that are here, man, if someone had a property in America and they did a cash out refinance and they were able to pull out $75,000, you can easily come over here or hit me up and get a property, 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom in Parque Reyes, which is a really popular neighborhood out here where a lot of tourists go. Easily get a 2-bedroom, 2-bath for $75,000. So you would just take the money from the States, cash out refinance, which is tax free. Take that money, hit me up. We can facilitate the transaction for you. Now you got a property in Medellin, and the appreciation out here is insane. Before COVID, Medellin, top 25 places to live in the world. Not just this country, in the world. You know what I mean? They got so many awards. They got the City of Innovation Award in 2018. So, I mean, Medellin is not what people think it is. I mean, people got narcos just confused, man. Colombia is nowhere near like what they see on the movies. It's not like that. I mean, maybe 20 years ago it was like that, but now it's super safe, man. You can go and walk in the streets and do so much stuff out here. Nobody cares. Nobody's thinking about you. Obviously, there's certain barrios in Colombia, but there's the same thing in any city, man. You go to LA, you go to Watts, or different places in LA, it's going to be the same thing. So if you want to go and be in nice areas, El Poblado, Sabaneta, Envigado, these are all the places that you can go and feel like you're in America. You know what I mean? It's not like people think it's super third world country, man. Medellin is almost not identical to Miami, but it's super close. And Bogota is almost just like LA. So I think you guys need to get in a plane. The tickets are cheap. I flew from LA to Miami for $59. And then my ticket from Miami to Colombia was like $110. And then I'm staying in this super duper nice Airbnb in El Poblado in this, I think I'm paying like $50 a night. And it's super duper nice. You know, it's just been rehabbed. Actually, I'm sorry, the building's brand new. I think it's 3 years old. There's a brand new gym downstairs. Security's everywhere. So, I mean, just get out here and experience it, man. And if you guys want some advice, feel free to hit me up. I'll give you a ton of advice. If you want to meet me out here one day, I mean, I'll be back out here. Once I leave, I got to go back to LA for a little bit. I'll be back out here in March, and then probably for 2 weeks, and then in April, I might be out here for a whole month. But yeah, man, I think you guys need to just take advantage of what's going on, man. The market is primed to make money. There's going to be a ton of millionaires that come out of this situation. It better be, man. And if you guys listen to this podcast, you guys should make at least 100 to 200 grand just based off the stuff that I'm telling you. I mean, you guys could be millionaires by the end of 2021 if you do it right. So, man, back to the New York Stock Exchange, or just the trading in general. I mean, diversify, man. I think you guys should get on something like Interactive Brokers. I have them. You can invest in other countries. You can invest in the Canadian stock market. You can invest in the Asian stock market. So I think you guys should do that. And if you want exposure to that in the, New York Stock Exchange, then invest in companies like Tencent Music. I mean, I'm up like 1,700% on a lot of stuff. My entire portfolio is up about 500%. So, I mean, obviously you want to take profit at some point in time, because if the market turns and you're at 1,700%, you're going to lose all of that. That would be super unfortunate. So I've been telling people, I mean, when you're up, what people do when they're newbie investors, which a lot of people are, they don't know how to take profits. I had to walk my dad off the ledge today because he was 2,000% on GM. And he was like, I'm going to stay in this. And I'm like, man, 2,000%? And then I told him about another stock. He was up 1,700% on that one. So I hooked my dad up. And I'm like, man, if you don't get out of that, so I was like, man, hop out of that position, take profit, and then hop into another position. You know what I mean? He's seen it going. It was going like, I think it went up $3 in just today alone. And so I was like, man, if you see it going like that, move your position. Say it's going, go further out, maybe go $10 out and ride it out again. You know what I mean? So, at this point in time, you've already taken your profit. Now you playing with house money. So you guys need to get to the point where you're playing with house money, and then it's just whatever. You know what I mean? Who cares if you lose it? It's not even yours to begin with. I mean, you put up your money. Right now, that's all I'm playing with. I'm playing with nothing but house money. And what you should do, another reason why I did come out to Florida initially was because I found some land. I found land. You guys should do this too. Tax lien certificates. You guys should look into that. So what I did, I found a bunch of land plots that people hadn't paid their taxes on in the past 10 years. And I mean, the land plots are going for about $5,000, and not going for about $5,000. The back taxes are $5,000, and the property the land is worth $60,000. So if I pay the back taxes, I'm gonna get this land for $5,000. It's like 1.5 acres. Some of them are 2 acres. And it's in a brand new community, golf course community. They just built a school across the street from the land plots that I saw. K through 8. The school's only 3 years old. They just built a brand new golf course. So it's an 18-hole community. I mean, this neighborhood is about to boom. Like, I see it. I've been following it for like about 7 or 8 months. So I flew out here to pick that land up. So, I flew over there, took a ride. I didn't want to just buy the land blind. drove to Orlando. It's about 10 minutes from Disney. No, I'm sorry. It's 15 minutes, because I was staying in a resort in Disney. It's about 15 minutes from there, about 10 minutes from the airport, which is still good. And it's in a good school district. The K through 8 school is brand new. But anyway, I wanted to make sure I did my due diligence on the land before I went and bought it. So I flew over to Florida, saw it, great land, great opportunity. What do you think I did? I'm playing with house money. So I sold some stock because, again, I was up 1,700%. There's no point in me sitting on it. And it's funny because that same stock that I was up 1,700%, my strike price was 47. And then I had another position that was 52. And I looked at it, it just boomed. It boomed in a matter of a month. My call option was supposed to expire January 21st, 2022. I hit my strike price in January of 2021. I had a whole nother year to ride this out, right? I could have did that. But once you hit your strike price, what people need to know is you need to get out. You need to get out and you need to take profit and you need to reposition so you don't lose your money. So now you're playing with house money. So anyway, it was CBS, Viacom CBS. It shot up to $57 or $60, I think. And I was like, man, you know what? I would ride it out because I was killing it. You know what I mean? I'm at 1,700%. I'm going to keep going. But I was like, you know what? Nah, I'm going to sell this, take this money, and go buy 5 land plots. And so I sold it. Lo and behold, when I sold it 3 days later, it dropped back down to $49. So imagine if I didn't and I tried to ride it out, I would have missed my opportunity to cash out right now instead of trying to wait to cash out until 2022. So I ended up cashing out. I didn't sell all of them. I kept 3 contracts, so I still have 300 shares, but I cashed out a majority of them. And then I just repositioned myself and took that money and I went and bought these 5 land plots. And so now, one land plot was $5,000 back taxes. The other one was like $3,300. Another one was like $1,600. I can keep going. So that's what I mean. So if you do a strategy like what I just said, you see how fast you can accumulate wealth. And so what's crazy is that the land plots, $5,000 back taxes, the land value is worth $60,000. And then the houses that are being built on the land are worth $545,000 minimum. The house right next to the land plot that I bought, $680,000. On another land plot not too far from that one, $545,000. Ridiculous. So I mean, I'm gonna partner up with the builder and probably just be like, you know what? How about we build this property? I own the land. How about we build a property and we sell it? Whatever we get, we split the proceeds. I don't care. I mean, if I make 250 or 300 grand on it, he made the other 300 grand. I can care less. So I mean, like, these are the opportunities that are out here. So if you do this right, you see how fast you can kill it in this particular economy. And if you have a business, man, the SBA, go online, apply for a small business loan, man. And if you've got a 600 credit score or better, they handing out money, man. They handing out money. What I don't understand what people are doing with the funds that the government's giving out. It's ridiculous. I mean, let's be strategic about it. And I mean, the only way to really decrease the inequality gap, and I talked about this in my last episode, is we got to invest. And it's not going to change, but you can at least change your own personal economy and bridge the gap on your own. The masses, as far as inequality goes, it's never going to change. But people that know better, they do better, like I said before. So I'm giving you guys a bunch of tips, man. I'm dropping jewels for you guys to do. You can do this tax lien thing in any county, in any state. So, I mean, this is what I would do. So I put a couple of my friends on. My parents hopped in. They got 2 land plots. So, I mean, do your research, man. If you don't kill it listening to what I tell you guys, then I don't know what to tell you. So if you don't believe what I'm saying, Google Tax Lien Certificate is a Google tax deeds in your communities. There's certain websites you can go to that you can buy these things online. I bought this stuff online from my computer. Matter of fact, I bought them on my computer 2 days ago in Medellin. I bought them on my laptop, just sitting behind my desk. I bought 5 land plots in Orlando. I didn't have time to do it when I was there. I was moving around. I went and looked at some more land plots near Tampa and Lakeland, just surveying the land because I haven't been in Orlando in a long time, but the city's booming. I lived in Orlando 10 years. I don't know if I would ever live there again. Maybe a vacation home would be nice because it's still like, you're still in paradise. The city is booming. I found so many land plots in Orlando. Now I can write out the whole trip because it was a business trip, technically, I guess. But I went and looked at land, so the whole thing I can write off. Not like it's a lot. I literally paid $59, like I said, for the ticket. And then I'm in Colombia, and I didn't pay much here, but I get to write the whole thing off. But it's interesting because doing my research, trying to find the tax liens on these land plots that I found, it was like 10 o'clock at night. I found a land plot that was literally 3 red lights from where I was staying at this resort. It was literally 3 blocks from the freaking entrance of Disneyland. Yeah, Disney World. I'm like, are you serious? So I immediately hop in my car, drive down the street. I see this land plot. It was a super small land plot, so I can see why I was still there. But right next to it, lo and behold, it was a sign from a realtor selling some land. And they had just built a brand new shopping plaza right there. And right next to that brand new shopping plaza was a huge plot of land. Across the street, there was 2 for sale by owners selling land. And I'm like, what in the world is happening? And mind you, this is literally like 5 lights from the entrance of Disney. So it's oh my God, man. It's just easy opportunity. So Orlando, I would invest. Anybody listening to this podcast, I would figure out how to get some money into Florida because there's a huge migration coming from California and New York to Miami, per se. But Orlando in general, I left there in 2012, and the amount of growth. If you go downtown Orlando, it looks almost like Spaghetti Junction in Atlanta, or like in Miami, it looks just like that. So the city's growing, it's expanding. So there's a lot of land because the housing shortage in Orlando. And Orlando's like the #1 market to invest in right now because of jobs. So I would invest there, but I don't think I live there. So I don't know if people know this, but I'm thinking about leaving LA and moving to Miami. I mean, so I was out in Aventura looking at places too. I'm trying to link up. I was about to link up with Grant Cardone, but I seen Uncle G he lives in Aventura too. And I do a lot of business with Grant Cardone Capital. I send them properties all the time, like apartment complex. So I was about to pull up on Uncle G, send the Phantom outside, but I didn't have time. I was headed, but I'm probably more likely gonna get my place in Aventura, and then I'm gonna go in there. Uncle G is cool, man. Uncle G, if you guys don't know Grant Cardone, you should look him up. He's a super intelligent. He's a billionaire by assets because he manages I think it's $1 billion or $2 billion in assets. So man, look into Grant Cardone, man. Look at his YouTube channel. You'll learn a lot from him. He's out of Miami, man. He's another reason why I want to get out here, man, and be around like minds. But the energy in Miami is crazy, man. It's like the energy in Orlando is a lot slower. And it's like you can't leave from LA and move to Orlando. Like it's like a culture shock. I was there like, oh my God. And it's so crazy because I never thought, my lifetime I would be like, I don't want to go back to Orlando because I love Orlando so much. It did so much for me. But I was there. It's not happening. But when I got to Miami, the energy in Miami is like it is in LA. That's kind of energy I need. You need to be around that ambitious, the flashiness, that kind of eye candy motivates you to want you to keep going. You know what I mean? It just forces you to do better. So I like Miami for that. And I mean, if you force yourself to have a certain living standard, your reticular activator, which is your filter in your mind, is going to make sure that it does whatever it has to keep you in that certain lifestyle. So I don't tell people to overextend themselves, but I do tell people to reach. I think people should stretch. So I think if you stretch and put yourself in a certain environment, you're going to figure out what you got to do, especially if you like it, to stay in that environment. So I challenge people, when I first got my car that I got, it was expensive, but I was like, you know what? I can cut expenses on this, but I really want this car. And you know what? If I get it, I'm going to just make more money. And that's exactly what I did. So, I bought the car. I had the money to pay for it. But when I had my son, I had to figure out how to cut certain expenses until I got into real estate. And I just made more money. That's pretty much what I did. So that's what I'm telling you guys. Get into an environment that challenge you and make you want to do better, because it's going to force you to do better, because you want to either get to the level of where another person is, or you're going to be overextending. You're going to have to figure out ways to come up with additional income streams. So challenge yourself, man. Stretch yourself out. But again, guys, come to Colombia, come to Medellin. take a tour. Cartagena is beautiful, but make your first stop be Medellin. And then from there, I would go to other cities like Bogota, Cartagena, Barranquilla, places like that. And then you will be like, all right, I love Medellin. You'll see it for what it is. And you might feel different. You might want a different vibe than I want. I think you guys need to get out and about. If you're locked in the house listening to this, it's pretty safe out here, man. A lot of countries are making certain requirements before you to enter. I know I got to take a COVID test here Thursday to be able to go back to the States. So, man, do your due diligence. Listen to what I'm saying. You guys can all be living out here with me in Colombia. And for me, I'm doing the both country thing. I'm living in the States and I'm living in Colombia. And it's only a 3-hour flight from Miami. So I'm going to have an office in Medellin and then have one in Miami. So I'll be back and forth. And I can get over here in a day and take care of some business to get back. So that's one reason why I'm also thinking about moving to Miami. It's a easier commute. And LA, man, it's just not the same, man. California's not the same, and I don't think California's going to be the same. And I already see it. You know what I mean? The homeless population is increasing, and the wealth gap is just getting larger and larger out there. And that's a tough place to be when the economy is going the way it is. So, guys, listen to what I'm saying. Get back to traditional investing. Don't do any speculative stuff. And if you do it with some money. Don't do it with the thought process of, I'm going to win it big. Man, GameStop was a one-off. I don't think you'll ever see another GameStop like that. And they're talking about, the media trying to steer the narrative saying that silver is the new GameStop, which is definitely not the case. Silver is a good commodity to be in because as the economy goes and it keeps getting worse, silver's going to be one of the best things to invest in along with gold and oil and gas. But it's not going to be some GameStop thing. But the media controls the narrative. You guys have heard me say that before. So don't follow the narrative, man. Do your own research. Don't look for the next GameStop. Find profitable companies and invest in them. Ride them out. Take the money from that. Buy some real estate, whether it be in the States or another country. Georgia, not the state, the country. Good deals over there. I mean, there's good deals all around the world, man. You just got to find it and not be scared. So, guys, do what I'm saying. Do your own due diligence. Make your right decisions. And if you guys got any questions, man, hit me up on social media. Like I said, I don't check it. But Andre Stewart 1 on Instagram, _Andre Stewart 1 at Twitter. But the easiest way to probably reach me is send me an email at andre@investfar.com. Shoot me an email and I can shoot you guys some deals. And man, we can go from there. But thank you guys for listening to this podcast. Peace.
Aren't you ready to start a business or grow your real estate investing portfolio? If you answered yes, allow Andre and the expert advisors at the Residual Roads Business Institute to fast track and put you on a path to full-time investing. The greatest transfer of wealth in our lifetime is occurring over the next few years, and you can take advantage if you know what to look for. In order to be successful at real estate investing, you need to learn how to leverage your current resources to generate quick money, big money, and retirement money. Let Residual Roads advisors craft a plan to get you through these phases using little or no money in 6 months or less. Don't wait for a job. Create one for yourself and others. Go to residualroads.com for mentorship, and for our free course, go to residualroads.thinkific.com.